The thistle is the toughest flower in the world. It can break through concrete, grow up a chain link fence, and it has the deepest taproot there is. It also happens to be the only thing that blooms in the streets and the alleys where women who are trapped in a web of trafficking, prostitution, and addiction walk and sleep. Like the women we serve, many people consider the thistle to be a blight or a nuisance or even a weed. But not us. We see beauty and we see resilience. My name is Hal Cato. I'm the CEO of Thistle Farms, and I'm really happy to be here with Regina to tell you our story. In 2017 alone, over 8,800 cases of human trafficking were reported to the National Human Trafficking Hotline. 71% of those involved victims of sex trafficking. We know that the majority of these victims became romantically involved with someone who either manipulated or forced them into prostitution. Others were lured by the false promise of a better home or maybe a real job. And some were forced to sell sex by a parent or a family member. Our experience over the last 20 years has shown, though, that the vast majority of these victims share a universal story that begins at the intersection of poverty, neglect, and early childhood sexual abuse. On average, the women we serve were first raped between the ages of 7 and 11, and they began to hit the streets around 14 or 15. Very few of them have any education beyond high school, and most have never had a steady job.
I'm one that knows the pain of going in and out of the prison systems and looking for someone to turn to, and there was no one there. Excuse my voice. I had abandoned my family and bought into the lies that the streets had told me. I remember living in those abandoned houses and sheds and spending hot and cold nights in the open lots and waking up to the smell of urine everywhere around me, looking for restaurants or a gas station to take a bird bath, is what we girls call it, to change clothes if I had any clean clothes. But I still had hope. There was a little girl inside of me that still longed to have a home, a real life, and it let me know that we were still dreaming. But because of those dreams, in spite of all the injustice and the ugliness and the anger, I still had that dream of finding that home. And because of dreaming, I can stand here today and say my real name is Regina Mullins. And I have the gift of being one of the outreach directors in Nashville for Thistle Farms. And going on from there, it's like I met this woman while I was still in prison. Her name is Becca Stevens. And she was a little Episcopal priest and a mother herself, and she shared with me about her own childhood sexual abuse. And she was talking about this home that she was opening for women such as myself, where we could come and live for 2 years free. 2 years free, okay? And it's like, wow, coming to that place after leaving prison, it was like I had found sanctuary. It was like they had tapped into something that was so needed and critical for us survivors. It was a time and a place to heal. And in that home for 2 years, there was no authority. We learned how to become our own authority. And I went to this place, and sanctuary is what I found. I had found home. There was mercy, there was grace, and I had finally found what I was looking for, which was love. And it was the first time that nobody said, "What did you do now?" Instead, they said, "What happened to you, and how can we help?" And I was thanking God that I was finally at home. Thank you.
The program, which was an evolution of a halfway house, was healing broken spirits, clearly. And it was good, but it wasn't enough, and we knew it, because what we were seeing is that the women were completing those 2 years sober and strong in their recovery and healing mentally and physically and emotionally, but they were still dirt poor and had very limited job prospects because of their criminal history. We knew that we had to help women heal financially as well, because unless you can help a survivor become economically independent, they will always be vulnerable to the dangerous relationships who just see them as a commodity to be bought and sold. So we started a small bath and body care company, named after the only flower as tough as our employees. Thistle Farms started with a handful of volunteers and residents working in a little church kitchen, making lotions and candles and bath bombs, products that we wanted to be as deeply healing for the women's broken bodies who were making them as they were for the customers who would buy them. And we joked that everybody would come in and make the products on Monday and Wednesday and then run out and buy them on Tuesday and Thursday. But it got it going. And today, we're the nation's largest social enterprise employing women survivors. We make over 40 products sold online and in more than 500 retail locations throughout the US. And last year, our survivors earned over $1.5 million in income. We also have a cafe. We also have a cafe that welcomes more than 3,000 customers a month, and we have global partners in 20 countries that are part of our supply chain.
And you know, because of the outreach, we were able to welcome over 500 people to Nashville last month for an education workshop that we do. And they came to learn about how they could implement this model into their own communities to serve women coming out of addiction and trafficking. And because of that, we have 22 homes in 19 states in the United States that are serving the women.
Currently, 200 women will have a safe place to sleep tonight.
Yes.
And you know, all of them are thistles, beautiful and tough. Regina and her fellow survivors hand make every product that we produce and sell. But they also play major leadership roles in our organization, holding key management roles in our manufacturing, and our sales, in our finance, in our cafe, in our global, our education, our residential team. But you know what makes me even happier is because of that deep taproot of healing that developed during the 2 years in Magdalene, and then the loving community of graduates that surround them, 85% of them are clean, employed, sober, and able to live on their own successfully 2 years after completing our program.
Well, you know how none of the women, none of the little girls that have ended up on those streets ended up there by themselves. Not even the women or the girls that's in your communities or the organizations that are represented here. These women and little girls didn't end up by themselves. It happened because of broken systems and a bunch of fractured communities.
And we know that it'll take a collaboration of systems and job opportunities to welcome these girls home.
Yes.
To provide the soil that is community, the rain that is economic freedom, and the sun that'll shine on them until they are able to love themselves once again.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.